The world of politics is full of twists and turns, but some moments shake the global stage like an earthquake. Right now, one name is at the center of controversy: Volodymyr Zelensky. A former comedian turned wartime leader, he has led Ukraine through one of its darkest times. But is his leadership as strong as it seems? Some, including former U.S. President Donald Trump, have started to question his legitimacy. Should Ukraine hold elections while the war rages on? And could this be a part of a bigger plan to reshape power in Eastern Europe? The answers to these questions might not be as simple as they seem. Stay with us as we break down the criticism, the arguments, and the real story behind the debate over Zelensky's leadership. For years, Ukraine has been a battleground, not just in war, but in politics. The country's leader, Volodymyr Zelensky, was once a comedian, a man who made people laugh on TV. But today, he stands as the face of Ukraine's resistance. Some call him a hero, a man who didn't back down even when Russian forces advanced. Others, they say his leadership is questionable, his decisions too risky, and his grip on power too tight. Now, the debate is heating up, and one of the loudest voices in this discussion is Donald Trump. The former U.S. president has openly questioned Zelensky's legitimacy, pointing out that Ukraine has not held elections since the war started. His argument? A true democracy never stops elections, even during war. Trump has suggested that Ukraine should hold elections as part of negotiations with Russia. But why? What's the real reason behind these statements? Is this about democracy, or is there a hidden political strategy at play? Let's go back to the beginning. Zelensky's rise to power was anything but normal. He didn't come from a political background. Before stepping into real politics, he played the president of Ukraine in a TV show called Servant of the People. It was a comedy series where an ordinary teacher accidentally becomes the president after his anti-corruption speech goes viral. But in 2019, fiction became reality. He ran for president and shocked the world by winning over 70% of the votes. His promise? To fight corruption, change the system, and bring hope. But no one could have predicted what would happen next. In February 2022, everything changed. Russian forces invaded Ukraine. Zelensky, instead of fleeing, did something unexpected. He stayed. He walked the streets of Kyiv in military gear, delivering powerful speeches that rallied not just Ukrainians, but the world. He became a symbol of resistance. Billions of dollars in aid poured in from Western countries, weapons, ammunition, military support, all to help Ukraine fight back. But here's where things get complicated. War is not just about weapons. It's about leadership, strategy, and tough decisions. And now, as the war drags on, more people are questioning those decisions. The biggest controversy? Elections. The election controversy. Before the war, Ukraine's elections were scheduled for 2024. But with martial law in place, elections were postponed indefinitely. Zelensky and his supporters say this is necessary. The country is literally fighting for survival. Millions of Ukrainians are displaced, soldiers are on the front lines, and holding elections right now could be dangerous and chaotic. But critics, including Trump, are pushing back. Their argument? Democracy should not stop, even in war. They point to historical examples, like the U.S. holding elections during World War II, or Iraq conducting elections in the middle of conflict. Some believe that without elections, Ukraine could slowly shift away from democracy into something else, something more authoritarian. Trump's role in the debate. Donald Trump has never been shy about his opinions on Ukraine. Back in 2019, he was at the center of a scandal involving a phone call with Zelensky, a call that led to his first impeachment. During that call, Trump allegedly pressured Zelensky to investigate Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, in exchange for U.S. military aid. The controversy put Ukraine and Zelensky in the spotlight. Now, Trump is once again making headlines about Ukraine. He has questioned the legitimacy of Zelensky's government, hinting that the U.S. should rethink its support if Ukraine does not hold elections. His words are gaining traction among some American conservatives, who are already skeptical about sending more money to Ukraine. But here's where things get even more interesting. Trump has suggested that Ukraine should hold elections as part of negotiations with Russia. That statement alone raises a lot of questions. Why would Russia care about Ukraine's elections? Is this just political pressure on Zelensky? Or is there a deeper reason? Elections in wartime. Is it even possible? Let's talk about logistics. Elections are not just about casting votes. They require a functioning system, security, and participation. Right now, millions of Ukrainians are displaced, living in other countries, or trapped in Russian-controlled areas. Many of them wouldn't even be able to vote. On top of that, thousands of Ukrainian soldiers are fighting on the front lines. They can't just leave their posts to cast their ballots. If elections happen under these conditions, would they really be fair? Or would the results be questionable from the start? Zelensky's government argues that holding elections right now is simply impossible, but his critics see it differently. They say that postponing elections for too long is dangerous. It creates a power vacuum and raises serious concerns about the future of democracy in Ukraine. Corruption concerns. Where is the money going? Another major issue adding fuel to the fire is corruption. Ukraine has long struggled with corruption scandals, and even during the war, reports of misused funds have surfaced. The West has sent billions of dollars in military and humanitarian aid. But where exactly is all that money going? Several high-ranking Ukrainian officials have resigned or been fired over allegations of corruption. Some politicians in the US and Europe are now questioning how much longer they should keep sending money to Ukraine without more transparency. And this is where Trump's argument gains more power. If Ukraine is receiving so much international support, but elections are postponed indefinitely, and corruption is still a problem, shouldn't there be more accountability? The bigger picture, what's next? Ukraine's future is at a crossroads. If elections are eventually held, they could change the country's leadership and potentially its approach to the war. But if elections continue to be postponed, the criticism of Zelensky's government will only grow louder. At the same time, Trump's statements about Ukraine could become even more important if he wins the next US election. He has hinted that he could end the war through negotiations. But what would that mean? Would he pressure Ukraine to accept a deal with Russia? Would he cut military aid if Ukraine refuses? For Ukraine, the stakes couldn't be higher. Zelensky's leadership has kept the country strong, but war fatigue is real. Some Ukrainians are frustrated with the slow progress, economic struggles, and constant uncertainty. And as time goes on, the world will continue to watch closely. The reality is, this debate is far from over. So, what's the real story? Is Zelensky right to postpone elections? Or is this a dangerous step away from democracy? Is Trump really pushing for democratic values? Or is this part of a bigger political game? One thing is certain, the next few months could decide Ukraine's future, and possibly the balance of power in Eastern Europe. The debate over Zelensky's leadership and Ukraine's elections is far from over. Some believe delaying elections is necessary for survival, while others see it as a dangerous shift away from democracy. Trump's statements have added even more fuel to the fire, raising questions about US support and the future of the war. But what do you think? Should Ukraine hold elections during wartime, or is postponing them the right call? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global events. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.